Hey, it's Patrick, also known as Side Steel on the MyFitnessPal forums. We are going to start producing videos for the Eat Train Progress channel. So consequently, in order to get comfortable in a video format, I'm going to answer a few threads using a video as a response. And this is going to be the first one of those. There's a user named SnowyOwl who has posted a few threads recently, and there's kind of a common theme. And he's looking at what constitutes too fast of weight loss, or how do I know that my diet is too aggressive? And I'm going to talk about some generalizations, and I'm also going to talk about some thread-specific things. So as far as generalizations go, I would say that for most people, a reasonable range of weight loss would land in between about 0.5 to 1% change in body weight per week. So for a 200-pound person, losing 1 to 2 pounds per week is probably going to be pretty good. However, the first week or so of weight loss will tend to be a lot more drastic. Typically because when you go from not dieting to dieting, you're going to make a significant reduction in carbohydrates. And that's not always true, but that's true the vast majority of times, especially when you have someone who is, that's my son in the background, by the way. He said, I do see the forest, because he's watching Mickey Mouse. Anyway, when you take someone that is going from not tracking their food intake, and in most cases when that happens, that's someone who's either maintaining or slowly gaining weight, and you put them in a calorie deficit, the carbohydrates on their diet compared to what they were previously eating tends to be a lot lower. That causes water weight to go down, which shows up as rather rapid weight loss the first few days on a diet. So once you're through about the first week to 2 weeks, I would say 0.5 to 1% change in body weight per week is going to be a reasonable kind of slot to land in. Now, into this thread, as an aside, this person has also posted that their home body fat percentage tool is telling them that they've lost a couple of pounds of muscle as well, because when you do the math, when you take your change in weight, your change in body fat percentage, he is concluding that I must have lost some muscle because of what the numbers say. And I'm going to link a thread below called The Pitfalls of Body Fat Analysis by someone who I really respect in this industry. His name's James Krieger. He's a very nice guy too. James does fantastic work on Weightology.net, and he wrote a multi-part series on body fat analysis tools. And it turns out that bioelectrical impedance is quite inaccurate. Hi. Did I surprise you? Additionally, body fat analysis tells you the percentage of body fat and the percentage of fat-free mass. So with something like a home body fat scale, you can't conclude that changes in fat-free mass are necessarily exclusively caused by changes in muscle. It just tells you that there is a difference in total fat-free mass. So basically everything that is not fat, and water is part of that. That's just an important thing to consider. Back to our scheduled program, kids. And I think rather than looking at the math and concluding I must be losing muscle, I would tell most people to look at their methods and use that to ensure that they are not likely losing muscle. So here's an example. The things that I would be concerned with while on a diet would be primarily, are you lifting weights? That's going to be the big one. If you're not providing any sort of stimulus to retain muscle, you're probably not going to retain muscle. Are you consuming an adequate number of calories? And I would say that for most people, a good ballpark figure for weight loss would be 10 to 12 calories per pound of body weight. That figure is certainly not going to be accurate for everyone. It is just a rough guideline. Probably not going to be accurate for obese people. But that's just kind of a general figure. And I would also refer back to the 0.5 to 1% change in body weight per week as a reasonable range of weight loss. So in other words, don't lose weight too rapidly. Lift some weights And then finally, consume a reasonable amount of protein. And if you're doing all of those things, chances are good that unless you're getting completely shredded, you're probably doing everything you can to maintain muscle mass while you diet. So for general population, that's pretty much going to cover your bases. So if you're doing those things, boy, I wouldn't worry about presumably what a handheld device or bioelectrical impedance scale, like one of those scales you stand on that tells you your weight and your body fat percentage. I don't think I would look at that data and say, oh, I must be losing muscle. Now, as for specifics to this thread, this person, that was my son again. Hey, Daddy, we use a slide to get down to the forest. He likes pointing out random events that occur in Mickey Mouse. So, as the specifics to this thread, later in the thread, skeptical owl, SnowyOwl, skeptical owl. That's a good name. I'm going to use that for my next sign on. SnowyOwl disclosed that he's consuming about 1,400 calories. So in this particular case, I would suspect that that is quite low. And since he's only 4 or 5 days into the diet, I don't think you're going to see symptoms of being on too low of calories. Maybe you could in that short of time. I don't really know. But I would suspect the following things would occur. I would expect as you keep dieting, you're going to start having adherence problems. So you're going to have a really hard time sticking to 1,400 calories. You might still log 1,400 calories, but your actual consumption will probably go up quite a bit. I would expect you would feel like crap. I would expect that you would start to be hungry quite frequently, and you might get very, very hungry. You might look at your buddy, and he might look like a cartoon, like turkey on a platter, like you see in the Roadrunner cartoons or whatever. I would expect you to be fatigued, and I would expect you to have some gym performance issues, and possibly mood issues. So I would just expect that overall, you're not going to have a good time on that calorie intake. And I would refer you back to the value that I cited earlier of somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 12 calories per pound. Do that for a couple of weeks. See what happens in terms of monitoring how you feel, how your gym performance is, and then what is your body weight doing at that intake. And I would also recommend that you consider weighing yourself daily, taking a rolling 7-day average, and looking at how that average weight changes, because that will smooth out fluctuations in water weight that happen from day to day. Yeah. Give it a couple of weeks, and then from that point, I would adjust calories as needed to get the desired results. And I would just be patient with it. But you're probably better off starting, slightly on the higher end and peeling it back from there. That's my crying daughter. I'm going to go do that now. Okay, fun. Hi there. A couple of points I wanted to add at the end of this video that I failed to make in the beginning. That is, one, it's probably a good idea to take a daily weigh-in and take a rolling 7-day average of those values, because it will smooth out day-to-day fluctuations that occur with water weight. So what I tend to do with my clients is keep a rolling 7-day average and look at their average weight as a valuable metric, one of many metrics. Additionally, something worth noting is that your body fat percentage tells you what percentage is fat and what percentage is everything other than fat. So it's important that we don't assume that fat-free mass is necessarily all muscle, because it's not. So when you look at your home scale that tells you changes in body fat and changes in fat-free mass, you can't necessarily conclude that I must be losing muscle. You are only seeing changes to what is fat and what is everything that is not fat. So oftentimes people make the assumption that everything that is not fat must be muscle, and that is not necessarily the case. Just wanted to make that point. Have a good day.